The number one show I know that we all agree on is Break the Bank with Lerk and Deion.
Welcome back to another episode of the Break the Bank podcast. We finally got the three-headed monster back together, and today we got a special guest. He was working with Impact Basketball before the draft, former G League stats auditor. Some people call him a scout. Some people call him a draft expert. I like to call him the Undertaker. What's good, Neema? How you doing, bro?
Worse
But
now.
you gotta specify what year though, like late career Undertaker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
not early career Undertaker.
Yeah, post double hip surgery.
And first off, let's not disrespect Dong Undertaker. When that dong hit, everybody perks up.
Hey, yo.
Yo,
yo,
did you say dong or gong?
A little dong.
Dong.
Dong is crazy.
Flag on the play, bro. That's
Dong.
crazy.
Yo, he said,
you said
respect Dong Undertaker is crazy.
Listen, for all the viewers out there during Pride Month and every other month, one of us has to support all human beings. I will take I will be the one on the pot. I support all human beings. I've been to drag shows. Listen, happy Pride, everybody.
Participate.
We got Neema on the
I just
show.
watched, bro. There's a line for everything. Listen, there's a line for everything. There's a line for everything.
That's why when I
RuPaul's
said
drag
get
shows
a
on
draft guy
television.
for this episode, you went for Neema.
What'd you say?
That's why when I told you get a draft guy for this show, you went for Neema.
Nah, I went for Neema because we're recording at 10 o'clock. My guy G has a fucking brand new baby, so I'm not gonna ask him to be until midnight. And listen, Cart's built like Trace Jackson Davis, and I've seen enough Trace Jackson Davis highlights for a week, so I need a week off from Cart being on any podcast.
Oh man, I guess he's not an advocate for you, Neema. How you been though, bro?
I've been all right. Moved to Vegas a few months ago. I hate how hot it is here.
You from Texas?
It's a different kind of heat. Nah, I don't. It's all right. It's been fun. Haven't talked to you all in a while, so excited to get going. It'll be fun. Excited to get shit on for about an hour.
Nobody can shit on you, bro. We're not gonna bring up that Leonard Miller was like 5th on your draft board. He went in the second round.
33rd.
Yeah, to the Timberwolves.
Good fit.
It's a good fit. It's a good fit.
Good fit. It's a good fit.
Listen, Neema got me laughed out of a group chat. So I didn't like the Duke center pick, right? So I reach out to Neema like, yo, son, tell me about my son, Derek Lively. He's like, yo, he's like a baby version of Porzingis. So I go into my Mavs group chat like, yo, I got it from a well-trusted source. My man Lively, he gonna light shit up. I may have been wrong in my hate.
I just meant on defense.
Bro, he say he's a lights out shooter. He said all they gotta do is run pick and pops for him and Lucas. So I take that information to the Mavs Moneyball Slack, and he laughed at me for the next 7 minutes.
Hey, you know what's
They brought
funny?
up his three. The motherfucker shot 15% from three on 1.2 attempts per game.
That's fine. Duke didn't let him shoot.
You want to hear something funny here?
He shot like
I was
20 and 25 in his clutch workout.
I was in a group chat earlier, and this is a good segue to what we're going to discuss on the podcast. But my boy goes, Kings fan, obviously. My boy goes, oh, Draymond would be a good fit on the Kings. I said, for what? That'd be 3 non-shooters. He goes, Fox is a great shooter.
What?
I said, men lie, women lie, numbers never lie. He's 32% from 3. He's like, that's about average. I'm like, that's 3% below average, brother.
Isn't that like 4% below average?
Average is between 35 and 37, depending on the year. I was trying to give him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's crazy that he
is crazy.
A great shooter.
For what it's worth, Lively's a way better shooter than Duke let him be. Like it's like well known. He like shot way more in high school, and Duke didn't let him shoot. So I think if after a little bit, I mean, it's gonna be his role is gonna be really easy at first. It's just gonna be rim run, go block shots, go rebound the ball. Eventually, when he's more involved in the offense, he'll probably be in like a lot of pick and pop shit with Luka. So
let me ask you real quick before we move on to shit, because I wrote an article recently and the shit did numbers, but I was getting roasted for like 3 days on Twitter. So my take was that the Mavs lack talent. And I believe in Neema, right? He's going to set screens. He's going to be a rim runner. He's going to hopefully block shots, play defense. do you take that kind of player at 12, right? Or if you're going to move back from 10 and potentially pass on Case and Williams, that's like a role player, right? The Mavs aren't in a position to draft role players for fit and need. We need an infusion of talent. So I'd like what the Wizards did with Bilal Coulibaly. From everything I hear is like he's raw. No, he's raw as hell, right? And there's maybe a small chance that he hits his ceiling, but if he hits that ceiling, that could potentially be a really good player. Like if Lively hits his ceiling, he's what? Like Christian Wood? But that you shouldn't be that's like drafting a running back fifth when, like the Texans. Like if you're the Chiefs, you can draft a running back in the first round. But if you're the Texans and you're rebuilding and you need talent and you need versatility and dynamism, you should be swinging for the fences as opposed to moving back in and selecting a role-playing, limited role player like Lively if you're the Mavericks. Do y'all agree with that?
Yeah, so I think the big man job for the most part is pretty easy as long as you have like a decent feel of like when to roll, all like being a good like screen setter, just being able to finish a little bit around the rim and all that. So like it is pretty replaceable. It is pretty easy to like find a big who is able to do that stuff. And the Mavs did just pick up Richaun Holmes, who does all those things like at a decent level, at much better than any Mavs center in recent memory has done. So I mean, I know Deion's shaking his head because he's stunk with the Kings, but like,
Nah, he hates Holmes, bro. Like he really hates.
I know,
He's
yeah,
dog
like,
shit.
but like, he's still better than Dwight Powell. He's still better than whatever
No
Christian
shot.
tried to be. Like, you have him in that rotation, so getting Lively is a little bit interesting, especially in the short term. I think in the long term he is a good fit. But you look at the other guys that were drafted after him, like Grady Dick, really good shooter. Would be nice to have him around Luka, but like not really an immediate need. Jordan Hawkins, kind of same thing. Kobe Buffkin as a guard, he's probably never really going to be like. There's a good amount of guards in Dallas. Same with Keontae George, same with Jalen Hood-Schifino. So those are all the guys that kind of went right after him. And you look at like even Cam Whitmore, with all the health issues or whatever else that people wanted to say that made him slide. Like it really comes down to like Derek Lively and Noah Clowney. I'm sure Dallas worked out Noah Clowney. I'm sure they didn't also expect him to be the pick at 12. I did like that they traded down, got rid of the Bertans contract, and you get Lively at 12 versus at 10. Cason Wallace, as good as he is, again, the
Can't
Thunder,
shoot.
like I think he fits well in the Thunder, but the Mavericks, you guys want to be competing. Luka, potentially Kyrie back another year. That's a competitive team. Derek Lively can play minutes. The only thing is he has competition with Dwight Powell, with Richaun Holmes, but he can play minutes immediately. Where those other guys, especially the guards, they just kind of get in the way, and if they're not really willing to play their role in a good way, that could be a little bit more detrimental to y'all. That's one or two losses, and whenever you're a team that struggled to make the play-in this year, didn't make the play-in this year, 1 or 2 games makes a big difference, especially on that bubble. So you go for the guy who's going to go just make his role really easy, set screens for Luka, catch some lobs, block shots, rebound the ball. Occasionally, you're going to pick and pop your rookie year. Make your role really simple, play off Luka, play off Kyrie, and he's able to play 12, 15 minutes a game where Hawkins, Dick, Buffkin, George, if they're not hitting, you don't play them, and that's down a rotation player.
He can guard guards, which is my thing with bigs. That's why I don't hate
switchable.
Yeah, that's why I don't hate the drafting. Is like if you draft a big that has no shot against guards, then you wasted your time because he's unplayable in the playoffs, unless he's Jokic or Embiid, right? This guy can guard guards, so it's like come playoff time, he's still able to be on the court, which is massive.
Well, I mean that does help. I mean, and again, to be fair, I don't know any of these prospects, but what I'm saying, I guess my point of view was just kind of like there's a disconnect between where fans think and where the management thinks the Mavs are and realistically where they are. Like if Kyrie doesn't resign, we have 1 above average starter. If Kyrie resigns, now we have 2. We still need 3 starters. And is Lively good enough to like anchor a league average defense when we all know that we've seen it with like Mitchell Robinson and other big men? Like, yeah, you can block shots, you might be athletic, but can you avoid fouling out, right? Can you not foul? What's your timing like? Or do you just go for every pump fake and you out there trying to swat everything when really being a good shot blocker is more nuanced than that, right? Sometimes it's knowing about when not to jump and being better with the timing. And it's like, is he going to be able to be that day one as opposed to year 2, year 3, to where now, okay, now he has a better feel for the game and he can actually stay on the court. So, but that was my thing. But I just want to ask you guys, because obviously I don't know any of these prospects.
I mean, for what it's worth, like, I think he is a pretty good shot blocker in terms of timing, in terms of not biting and all that. You look at Duke, and like, I think the thing with Lively is a lot of people, myself included, especially in the early part of the season, you look at him, you don't look at the numbers he's putting up, look at how he only played like 15, 20 minutes a game really in the first few games of the year. And you're like, well, like, this isn't really a guy I care about, especially because he's just kind of a big man, not really shooting, not really doing much. You look at the roster that Duke played, go straight up two small ball fives and Derek Lively. Like Filipowski and Mark Mitchell are both going to be small ball fives in the NBA. So, you know, they just didn't have the spacing. They didn't have the personnel. And really, Duke this year just went, let's play our 5 best players. And I mean, it worked out for them in the ACC tournament. Didn't work out for them much throughout the year or in the tournament itself. So I think that, you know, the good thing is, like Deion said, he can guard guards. He's not just going to be the guy who's sticking in the paint. And he's going to be a pretty good shot blocker. In my opinion, I think the Mavs were hoping Taylor Hendricks would be there at 10, because that's a guy who is timing his blocks, timing his jumps, knows how high to jump whenever he needs to. Like, also just a guy who can hit threes right now, can run the pick and pop with Luka right now. And has, you know, in my opinion, a lot more offensive potential than Derek Lively is, and potentially even a better defender right now than he is. So I think they were hoping he was there at 10. He wasn't. They were looking to get kind of a small ball 5 or a 5. You trade back a couple picks, get rid of a huge contract. That's a good TPE you can use down the line if you guys are, you know, better than you guys think you will be in the season. If you don't use it, you know, you stay out of the luxury tax. That's good. So I think it was a good move by the Mavericks. I think Lively will get a good amount of minutes throughout the year. And I mean, if he's progressing throughout the year, you make his role really easy on offense. Let him just focus on being a good defender all year. You know, come playoff time, he can actually get minutes in that rotation.
If they're any good, he won't get minutes. Respectfully, I understand everything you said. I agree with.
You just need 1 or 2 bigs to play. So
everything you said, I agree with. And if he doesn't play, I don't want to make it seem like I feel like that's a detriment to him. I don't think young guys play on good teams. That's just my thing. If they're genuinely as good as
they should be,
Mavs fans believe they will be or they should be, then he won't be in the rotation. That's not on him. That's just how the NBA works.
How would you, Neema, how'd you feel about the Hornets taking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson?
I don't know. MJ had one more pick in him.
Melo did too.
Melo did too, yeah. I don't know.
Apparently that's his boy, right?
Yeah. So
I don't think Melo wanted to share the ball.
And I think it's that as well. Brandon Miller is a great player. You win the league with forwards and wing play, unless you're Steph Curry and one of the best shooters of all time. But you look at the other teams that have won a lot of games, they have good wing play. Unless you're generational. I don't think Brandon Miller is necessarily generational, but he is a very good wing. He plays smart offensively. He's a really good shooter. Can't really finish at the rim very well. He got a little bit better because he learned he's, you know, not really a strength driver. He tried to muscle through everybody and just couldn't do so. But I don't know, the way people talked about Scoot as the cycle was ending, the way that kind of stock fell was just absolutely ridiculous to me. This dude was in the year with, you know, Dyson and Jaden Hardy, Marjon Beauchamp, was by far the best prospect on that team. Like, by far the best prospect. We saw Dyson play good minutes with the Pelicans throughout the year. Marjon Beauchamp play good minutes with the Bucks throughout the year. Hardy towards the end of the year kind of started figuring it out. But Scoot, as a 17-year-old, was adjusting to the G League way better than these guys were. Also jumping from high school the way Jaden Hardy was. Like, came in, I think it was his first or second game, dropped 30 points as a 17-year-old. Like, that's impossible. And then the second season, you know, had a great first game against Wemby, rolls his ankle the second game, doesn't play. And then throughout the year, kind of on and off injuries. You can say it was injuries. You can say it was load management because he was kind of a lock at 2. And, it just some of the narrative around him, whether it was he's not as good of an athlete as people think he is. Well, he's blowing by 5 people at once. This is the G League where everything is at a fast pace. He's playing 35 minutes a game. He's, being decently effective from the field, all while being probably pound for pound the strongest guy in the draft, aside from maybe James Najee and Jarris Walker. Who else?
I just wanted to ask a question. You said you win with wings. I want to push back on that attack. You win with the elite wings.
Yeah, that's fair. But at the top of the draft, you're hoping for an elite wing, So you're gonna draft a guy you think can end up being an elite wing. I don't think Brandon Miller is that guy. Maybe the Hornets do. Good for them. And that's why you take him at 2. But I don't think you pass up on a guy like Scoot. I think the Blazers keeping Scoot and not trading that pick was also very interesting. I have no idea how they plan to go about this, especially with Dame being I don't want to play with the young guys.
Well, keep in mind, until he signs his contract, he's tradable.
Scoot?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I think they might do, right before Summer League or something. They still have another week or 2 to kind of figure that out. I don't think you play him with the idea of trading him in Summer League. So, we'll see what happens with the Blazers and we'll see what they do. But Brandon Miller going 2, fit-wise, good for the Hornets. And I do think Brandon Miller was a top 7-8 guy in the draft. Him going 2, I can kind of see it. I can kind of understand, I think year 1, he probably will adjust a little bit better than the Twins, probably more than Ant Black and Coulibaly and all them. But I don't necessarily see the upside. I don't see the defensive side. And I just think with a guy like Scoot who can really control the offense, you put pieces around him, good shooters, a forward initiator, kind of a big who can, either a rim runner, depending on your, the team makeup, whatever it may be. You put the right pieces around Scoot, he's going to create for those guys. Brandon Miller needs stuff to be created for him. And luckily, the Hornets have one of the better guys in the league in LaMelo. But at some point, you're going to need LaMelo to not create for everyone. Can Brandon Miller become that ISO wing that the Hornets think he can be? I think it's going to be a little bit further down the line. And this is a team that made the play-in multiple times with a young core. I don't know if he's going to be as effective of a guy in their rotation, especially if they bring in some other pieces. So I would have taken Scoot knowing he's going to be your secondary ball handler, knowing there's not really going to be much pushback on that. And really, if you watch how he played the first year, especially with Hardy, who was very much on ball throughout the year, and Dyson, who was bringing up the ball a lot, even this year with Eric Mika, who's kind of like a post, initiator, sort of not like Şengün and Jokic and Sabonis, but in a similar role. He plays off ball a shit ton.
That was wild.
Role wise, he's a post bigs.
I just meant throwing Şengün and Jokic in the same sentence. That was a wild Rockets fan, man. That was nuts. Man.
But just post hubs. Mika's a high post hub. So
that was the most Rockets thing I've heard in a while.
I know. I'm sorry you haven't talked to him. But Scoot played off ball a lot and he flourished off ball. So I think this talk of he needs the ball in his hands to be effective is nonsense.
Scoot needs the ball?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk of Scoot needs the ball in his hands to be effective. He played off ball so much the last 2 years. He proved he's a good off ball player. He knows when to move. He knows how to play off other guys.
So I
think that talk's crazy.
But he's only 6'2"?
He's 6'3", 6'9" wingspan. That's big. Yeah, and he's also
wingspan is crazy.
Strong as hell. He's moving 7-footers like they're nothing.
I think he needs the ball for his development.
Sure, yeah.
If he played off ball to LaMelo, could he down the road? Sure.
Yeah, but you have elite point guard play at all times. You can play him in the second unit. We've seen teams play with multiple ball handlers. Like
who?
The Rockets did it multiple years. We
CP3 and Harden.
CP3 Harden, yeah.
But those were developed.
The thing is you have one guy who doesn't really move that well off ball in LaMelo and Harden, and then you have one guy who does move well off ball, and Chris Paul and Scoot, you can make that work. Like, even if LaMelo doesn't move well off ball, he's 6'8" and like, athletic. You can make it work. That's why I like the whole idea of like, oh, well, they don't want to take him because he's another ball handler. Like, who cares? He's the second best.
So do you think the Hornets are gonna regret taking Melo over Scoot?
The Hornets are going to regret every decision they've made in the last 15 years. Like, what's one other
including LaMelo?
No,
Who went
LaMelo.
after LaMelo?
I'm pretty sure one of them is Killian Hayes. So like,
Yeah, it is Killian.
that's 7. I don't remember who was at 4. Was I think
DeAndre
I think it was Okongwu at 4, wasn't it? Or was he at 6?
5 was Hunter, I think.
5 was Hunter. Yeah, they probably won't regret LaMelo then.
Wasn't Hunter the year? But wasn't Hunter in the draft?
Hunter was
2019.
2019. Hunter was 2019. No, they definitely don't regret LaMelo looking at the next few picks. Yeah. I mean,
who was it?
Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, Okongwu, Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin, Denny Avdia, Jalen Smith. I guess the only one they might regret is Tyrese fell to 12. And I mean, I can see that, but Tyrese is probably one of the worst, not worst defenders, but
What's crazy about Halliburton is he could have went 2. Like,
yeah,
he had such a wide range.
7. He should have won 7.
Well, he could have won 7 too. Like, I know
should have won 7.
I know for a fact the Warriors tried to trade down to 7 to get the Knicks to trade up to get LaMelo, and then we take Halliburton. And it's like the dude had such a weird range. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have worked. That would have worked for the Knicks and for the Warriors.
It would work for us too.
But that's what I'm saying. The Knicks should have took him at 7. That's why I say he should have.
It worked for Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin would have slipped to God knows who.
Yeah, but that's his problem. He should have kept.
Hey, no, Knicks had another pick at 23. They would have taken him there.
So,
but I just noticed Lerk's background. That shit is like, the meme where one doesn't fit.
Pick the odd one out.
One is not like the other.
What was the biggest steal of the draft in your opinion?
Oh, Cam Whitmore at 20.
Yuck.
Cam Whitmore at 20 by far, in my opinion.
Yuck.
All right, why do you feel that way? And then Deion, you can tell us why it's yuck.
Freak athlete, one of the better. Like, I mean, his shot attempts at Villanova were pretty tough, but overall, one of the better shot makers in the draft class. Just like in general, pretty good defender. Like, this dude's 6'8", 200 pounds, uses his body really well. Coming from a good school that produces really good pros in Villanova, while also being, a 5-star recruit who played really good in high school.
Really good pros or pros?
I shoot above their above what people expect. Let's put it that way. Nobody expected like Mikal Bridges to be like. I mean, he's kind of number 1 by choice, not by choice. By
him and Brunson are the best pros, though, right?
Brunson, yeah.
Neither one have an all-star game.
Well,
I mean, Brunson got robbed this year.
But Villanova also rarely gets 5 stars like that. So like, this was kind of a one and done at Villanova. It doesn't happen that often.
I'm not saying they don't produce pros. I'm just saying really good pros was a bit of a stretch.
Fair enough, but
it's a bit of a stretch. Texas produces really good pros in the NFL, I guess, too.
I think Cam Whitmore at 20 was one of the bigger steals. I think Dariq Whitehead at 22. That's a guy who, I mean, his athleticism kind of looked gone from him this year at Duke, especially from what he was in high school. But if he's able to get any of that back, like, he is not the 22nd best player in the draft.
Can you explain to the viewers who don't follow the draft why his athleticism looked like that, though?
He fucked up like every bone in both his legs, basically.
He was like, his athleticism looked bad, but it might come back. But he fucked up everything in his lower half of his body.
Why did he even get drafted? How is he a steal?
Because
he ain't got no leg.
He was one of the better players in high school, and like, it just really was injuries. But if he's able to recover well from those, like, he came back
every bone in his leg.
It's not every bone.
It's not every bone.
He fucked up his knee like twice, and he broke his foot.
But a torn ACL.
Yeah, and he broke his foot.
And he broke his foot. How much he weighed?
Jr.
He was like 6'6", way less than what he is now before.
But what is he with?
I think he's like 220 now. I don't know what the
220, done tore his knee twice, broke his foot before.
And then I'll say
Is it Giles or Giles? How do you pronounce his last name?
Giles? Harry Giles?
Yeah, he's that guy.
Oh
and
no.
then I think there's a
Oh,
few
no.
second rounders who I think are gonna get minutes for their team. I think one of them is Seth Lundy with the Hawks. All he needs to do is go out there, shoot, and play defense. He's very good at those two things.
I like Seth.
And they need a guy who's going to be able to play. Them getting him at 46 was crazy.
He's better than Kobe.
Oh, okay, Buffkin. I was
Yeah. No, not Brian. My bad. But they took Kobe Buffkin at 15. If you told me if I had to choose which one plays, it's Seth.
So that's kind of how I felt about the Lakers draft. If you told me before the draft they're going to take Jalen Hood-Schifino and Max Lewis at 17 and 40, I would have thought it would have been the other way around. Max falling to 40, especially for the Lakers. Like, I mean, he's been at Impact all summer, so like I've been able to watch him a good amount. With the Lakers, if his job is really just go out there and shoot like that, he's going to be great. You know, the way they play with a lot of their role players is basically just make LeBron's life a little bit easier, and he's going to go out there and do that. The hard part for him is going to be defense. If he's able to stick that, because that's what the Lakers need, you know, wing defense. So
you
if
think Bron's still on the Lakers?
You hope so.
Banana boat.
I mean, where does Chris Paul eventually end up?
Don't entertain his bullshit, Neema. Just keep going.
You see the Photoshop?
I don't know about all that.
Banana boat.
We'll see. But I mean, did they replace
They can have wigs.
Yeah, so the banana boat now is Chris Paul, Wiggins, LeBron, and Draymond.
No, it's Bron, CP, Steph, and Dre. That's the real banana boat. Tequila ownership. Lerk knows about it. I'm sure he's drank it.
No, so I like the Seth Lundy pick. I like the City Sissoko pick for the Spurs. He's just a good overall wing. I think he'll play well off Wemby. I'm very excited to see how Wemby plays with the Spurs too, but we don't need to talk too much about that.
Let's talk about that.
Sure. I mean,
what do you expect from Wemby in year one with the Spurs?
I expect him to play like 50 games.
No, by injury or load management?
By force, yeah.
By force, like they're too good, so they sit him.
That or they don't want him to play 82 games right off the bat year one, and they just sit him a handful of games for the sake of it. Keldon Johnson, I think, will have a good step up year, so I think that's a good player that he'll be able to lean on a lot. Keldon, kind of picked up a lot of the offensive role there towards the end of the year, was doing basically running the offense through him. So Wemby having like a wing who has that experience, is only 24 years old and really stepping up to kind of play off of and make his life a little bit easier is going to be very good for him in year one. Also, Trey Jones, a pretty good point guard. So I think those are good pieces to have around him to start his career, make his role a little bit easier, make his job a little bit easier. Defensively, I think every time, the first time a team plays the Spurs, they're going to be like, what the fuck? And then the second or third time, they'll be fine. Not fine, but they'll, adjust well. I'm sure most teams will even win that first game because the Spurs aren't very good, but they're going to have multiple moments throughout the game of being like, I don't know how the hell we're going to be able to stop this, because he'll be doing random shit throughout the game, whether it's stepping in one time from the three-point line and blocking someone at the rim, the putback dunk he had from a step back three earlier in the year, like stuff like that is going to happen once or twice a game to every single team that plays him. And they're going to just be in shock. I mean, stat wise, I don't really see, all-star in year one. I wouldn't be surprised. There's been other all-star rookies, like Blake Griffin was an all-star rookie. Yao Ming was one because of China, but he put up good numbers for a year.
Yo, bro.
Whoa.
Trying to get us killed.
Yeah. Oh, my fault.
You tripping.
My fault.
I respect.
I want no smoke, China.
I respect.
They're just good at voting. I don't know about that.
I respect all people.
If Biden and them said the same thing, let me chill though.
I respect all countries.
No, but I think Wemby's gonna have a good first year. I don't think it's gonna be like 20-12. I don't think he's gonna play 82 games. I'm sure he'll be rookie of the year. Maybe Chet. We'll see. But no, I think it's gonna be a good year for the Spurs. I do think there will be a point where they're like, "Fuck, we're winning more games than we expected." And that is partly because of the pieces they have around Wemby, but I think it'll be because of him a good amount as well.
Okay. Deion, what are you expecting year one?
From Wemby?
Yeah.
Shit, a lot. I guess it depends. I mean, if they have what 30, 40 million in cap space, they have all the Hawks picks, they have their own picks. If they buy, then I think Wemby's good enough to get them to 50. The problem also is that I think Wemby's good enough to get them to 50. So Neema might be right in the thing where they just like sit him down. So it's a bit up in the air, I would say. On one hand, I think he's good enough to get them to 50. So we'll see. But I think he'll be an all-star though.
Year one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is like the West had a little bit of flight lately, so like there is more room.
I mean,
But-
he can average 20-10.
I'm
Out
sure.
the gate.
The thing is, like, he's gonna have to have the games now because of like all the rules and stuff. And so
So that's just the first half, though. You know, like he could
That's
be an
true.
all-star and then have.
I mean, for
a
what's worth, I
mysterious
don't think Wemby will be worse than Cat. So like if Cat's not an all-star or if Cat is like an all-star, then like Wemby should be right there. I don't think the big man talent in the West is that great that it will keep him out of there. Is all-star voting 2 guards, 3 forwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But
Franco.
but I thought next year they make. Oh no, I thought next year they're making positionless. Or is that for all NBA?
I think that's all NBA.
And next year they're going East-West again, right?
Yeah.
They haven't decided, but that's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's East-West regardless, though. Like
yeah, in terms of the
for
amount of
making the
guys,
team,
yeah.
they just might get rid of the draft aspect of it.
I mean, big man off the top of my head, he's better. I think he'll be better than Aiden, not Jokic, Aiden, Gobert, and Cat year one.
Well, I don't think Cat will be in the West anyway. So,
Damn, I think he'll be better than Sabonis.
yeah, fuck him.
I think maybe first half of the season he plays more games than AD.
Yeah.
And that's not for sitting out. Better than Walker Kessler. Depends on who.
Walker Kessler stinks.
If you ask Ant,
Stinks. Walker Kessler is one of those guys where it's like no one watches Utah play. So it's like, oh, he's pretty good because someone on Twitter said he was, like Kevin O'Connor. And then eventually Utah will be good. We'll watch Walker Kessler play. And Kevon Looney will run him off the court the way he did Sabonis. And
Yo, Eggs.
exactly what's going to happen.
How you feel? What do you think about Wemby for his first year in the NBA? Is he a lock for rookie of the year for you?
Yeah, just because Scoot's not gonna get the counting numbers if Dame is still there. But if Dame leaves, then I'd probably go with Scoot.
What
But
about
if Dame
Chet?
stays, then I think Wemby. Who?
Is Chet eligible?
Chet
He
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
isn't he?
he didn't play a game last year. He's plus 300, I think, last I checked. Plus
Chet,
250.
all Chet is like suburbia Wemby though. So like, give me Wemby over Chet anyway.
I think
I think Chet-
OKC wants to compete this year, though.
Yeah, but because of that, I think
But
Chet
people
averages
would.
probably 14, 9, and like 4 blocks or some shit. But I don't think
That
he'll
might
average
be enough to
points.
win rookie of the year though.
I'm gonna be enough.
I think Wemby's he's not gonna get the shots that Wemby gets. So I think Wemby averages the most shots on anybody except Scoot, unless Dame leaves. So because of that, he doesn't have to be efficient to win it. I don't think Chet, even if Chet's efficient, I just don't think he gets as many shot attempts or plays as many minutes because OKC has no, they want to compete, but they're also not going to be like, all right, you just lost a year due to injury, go play 35 minutes a night. I don't think they're going to do that either. So because of that, I'll say Wemby.
Okay. Yeah, all three got Wemby as a lock for rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think so.
No, because the game's
If he
played.
plays enough games.
He has to play 65, right?
Is that for rookie of the year too, or just MVP?
Yeah, it's for all awards, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would say no for that reason.
Actually, it might not be for rookie of the year just because playing 65 games as a rookie is pretty like that's a pretty select group of guys.
It's a lie, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's him unless the Spurs like actively try and sit him.
I know who it ain't. Brandon Miller.
Done.
I know who it ain't.
I will,
Yo.
I will say though, I don't know if you guys want. I know you guys want to talk about the trades as well, but
No, we still got some more draft talk to get through though.
okay.
I think it could be Trace. I think Trace could give it a run.
Rookie of the year?
Yeah.
Didn't you just say he's not gonna? Bro, shut the fuck up.
Wasn't you saying that he's not gonna play on the Wolves?
I don't think he plays if we're good. I'm not convinced we're gonna be good.
All right, I'm done with this guy. We're not even gonna entertain that bullshit.
Yo, why are y'all entertaining?
No, we're not
bullshit?
entertaining it. Yo, Neema.
Yo,
what
Do you
was
tell
the
me
most
Trace can't
surprising-
put up like 10 and 8?
Neema, what was the most
CP3?
surprising move on draft night for you?
the Grizzlies drafting Tariq Baberovich at fucking 56. No idea who that is. He averaged 4 points per game in Turkey. He's 22 years old. He's only 6'7". Like, it's not even like he's like the 7'2" Turkish dude. He's a 6'7" dude. He averaged 4 points per game. He shot like 30% from the field. I have no fucking idea who this guy is. I had a list of guys who I was like, these guys could be draft stash guys. There's one guy who's like 6'2", Nadir Heafy, averaged fucking 20 points per game in France, dropped 30 on Wemby's team. Like, very good player, did not get picked up. The only draft stash guy that got picked up this year was this random ass dude that had one tweet over him the entire draft cycle. No idea how that happened.
I do. That's easy. They're in the luxury tax. They don't want y'all motherfuckers talking about bring him over. That was by design. They don't have to worry about anyone talking about bring him over next year. Like, no one's ever going to say his name. He's going to stay in Europe forever. They're going to retain his rights forever.
There's teams. I mean, I guess at 56, it's hard to. I mean, y'all bought the 57th pick.
Not really. We trade Patrick Baldwin Jr. for it.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Pat Baldwin Jr.
It's pretty much paying for the pick.
1 year in for basically like undrafted pick. That's so tough. But
the luxury tax will do that to you, man.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most shocking, as well as I need to kind of scroll through and look. Oh, also my worst pick of the draft, Jaime Jaquez at 18 to the Heat. That was ridiculous.
That pick stunk.
That
was bad.
Yeah,
Amari Bailey at 40, I didn't like a ton either. I don't like him. I don't know.
Man, I mean, my thing with Jaime Jaquez, the Heat are great with undrafted players, so they got their guy at 18. But this dude is like that is a guy you look for at like 50, and you're like, who's a guy that I think can maybe play minutes for us this year if you're a playoff team. Like, that is not a guy you pick at 18. I don't care how good his workouts are. Like, you take somebody up. The Heat could have taken Cam Whitmore at 18, had him sit off the bench, learn from Jimmy Butler for 2 years, and then come in and be the guy you build around with Tyler Hero whenever you inevitably blow it up because you haven't won anything. Instead, they took Jaime Jaquez, who they think is going to be able to play next year. What do? Like, use him as like a replacement for one of the 4 other guys that you picked up and have in your rotation? Oh, they were all fucking undrafted. So you might have been able to just do that with another undrafted guy. I don't think you take him at 18. I think you either take somebody to develop or you take another guy. I think like Chris Murray would have been a better fit. I think Omax Prosper would have been a better fit. I think Pods would have been a better fit. I don't like Julian Strother at 18, but he would have been a better fit. Like, you want guys who are going to impact today. I do not understand Jaime Jaquez. Like, the better fits. There was better values at 18. I don't care how good his workouts have been.
I disagree with the Cam thing because as someone that has had that young guy with a huge ego
and the cartilage in your knee.
Fair. Our guys do have knees. Our guys do have knees. But regardless, the guy with the huge ego that thought he was going to go high, doesn't go high, wants to prove everybody wrong, and then doesn't play is a detriment to the locker room. That's the only reason, like, I would rather have Jaime at 18 than Cam at 18 because you're trying to win something. For the Rockets, it's like, who cares? This kid plays over Kevin Porter Jr., who fucking stinks. He doesn't play over Kevin Porter Jr. because he stinks. So it's really like it doesn't really matter for the Rockets, but for the Heat who have aspirations of winning a title, like I just watched Kuminga and Poole literally try to take down a dynasty single-handedly. So I think picking for role matters, and we don't,
That's
as
fair.
fans, we don't factor that in nearly enough.
I still wouldn't take Jaime Jaquez at 18 at the very minimum trade
No.
back.
All right, so
Agree. There's
That
other
leads me-
guys like Pods or like you said, Max Prosper, or even Colby Jones, who went to the Kings at like
Colby
30.
Jones, yeah, that's a guy I like a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Nuggets, you know, the ones that the Heat got killed by in the finals, had a significantly better like draft for value. None of their guys were pegged at 29, 32, 37. Like Hunter Tyson was widely undrafted. 32 was Jalen Pickett, widely in the 40s and 50s. And 29 was Julian Strawther, who like was, for the most part, you could have probably gone him at 32 or 37. I think those are awesome fits of guys who can play today. And like there is a room for growth for all three of them. Jalen Pickett fills in that Bruce Brown role if you get him to be able to do it within a couple of years. Julian Strawther, great shooter. I know I said a couple of years, but like really, if he can, I mean, like literally within 2 years, like if he can do it within 1 or 2 years, this is a 24-year-old guy who just like was one of the best players.
24.
Yeah, he did prep school and then he did for like 5 years of school.
Penn State.
Yo, that's
Right, Penn State.
insane.
But yeah, Penn State. Well, he did Siena and then Penn State.
Yeah.
He is one of the like just like one of the more solid guards in the class. Like he had a very good year in the Big Ten, very reliable for Penn State. So if you like connector guard with Jokic, that's all you need him to do.
They
Hunter
better
Tyson,
re-sign Bruce
knockdown
Brown.
shooter. Hunter Tyson, knockdown shooter. Julian Strawther, knockdown shooter. Surround him with Jokic, sub him in every once in a while, get him spot minutes. They just need to hit 1 or 2 shots each in the game. Like I think that is a better draft for value at what you had versus what the Heat did.
So,
But the Heat don't have to worry about any of those guys wanting to play. That's the thing. Like there's drafting for value, taking Kuminga at 7 when you could have had fucking Davion who won't bitch, and you'd prefer to have the guy who won't bitch. Ultimately, is Davion the half the player Kuminga is? No, but is he going to complain during the playoffs when you have 1 goal? Absolutely not. And I think I don't know. I hate the pick because I would have traded it. But if you have to make the pick, taking the guy that's not going to complain is pretty big.
let me ask you a question, Dion, and Neema, you give your answer to this too. Who's the most likely to be a bust out of this draft?
Brandon Miller.
I knew that's where
hate
you was
Brandon.
gonna go. I knew that's where you was gonna go, but I had to ask anyway.
There's a couple guys I hate in the draft. I hate Brandon Miller. I don't like Cam Whitmore. I think his player profile doesn't transition to the league. He's a low pass percentage guy. He has a high assist to turnover ratio because he turns it over a shitload. He doesn't take high level shots, and even when he's open, he doesn't shoot the greatest percentage. He's a shot jacker. I don't like Cam. I don't like obviously I don't like Brandon Miller. Bilal, whoever the fuck.
Koulibaly.
He stinks. If Wemby wasn't on the Metropolitans, where is that guy next year? Saudi Arabia? Do they have a basketball league?
Yo,
I know he's not in the league. I know
he caught that late.
I know he's not in the league. He's only in the NBA because of Wemby. So I would put him in there. I don't like Jarace Walker a ton.
Called them the French DJ Augustine.
No, he's bad, dude. He's not a good player. He averaged what, 5 points a game in France last year? Maybe 4 or 5, something like that.
Why did he get drafted so high? What was he, like 11, right?
Wemby was on his team. So when everybody was watching Wemby, he popped off the table.
7 is crazy.
That's it. So bust is obviously based off expectation. I think Scoot will bust based off expectation too. I don't think Scoot will be nearly the player everybody expects him to be. I still think he'll be good.
You think he'll be the second best player in the class?
No.
Who do you think is the second best player in the class?
When it's all said and done, who is 4, 5, 6?
Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson, and Black.
Yeah. And who?
You know
Oh,
what?
I
Take
like.
some more time to think about that.
No, no,
while
no.
he gets his answer.
Ant Black was my number 2 before draft night. I like Ant. I like
Okay.
Ant.
I like him on the Magic.
I honestly thought the Jordan Poole trade was going to be for Porzingis and 8 to get Ant.
That'd have been cool. Yeah, I like that.
I thought Kaminga was going to be included too for Westbrook.
So you pretty much led into another question I had. So Neema, before you tell us who your bust is, pause.
Hey yo.
Again, Pride Month. I support all
Yo,
human beings.
by the time they're eligible to sign rookie extensions, who's the best player in this draft class?
Oh, Wemby.
All right, and then number 2,
Ant.
Neema,
Best player in the class, Wemby.
and then Scoot. And then who's number 2? Scoot.
I would say Scoot. Yeah. I do think it's tough just because of where he got drafted. I think it might stun him a little bit, especially if they keep Lillard around. But
One of the two won't be on that team.
yeah, I hope so. But I think in terms of where they've been picked, I don't want to be a homer, but I do think Amen Thompson with Ime Udoka is going to get a lot of opportunity. And he's the only one who can kind of play point guard on that team. So I think that he'll have one of the better rookie seasons, especially if he's just like, don't shoot. But I do think that the path for one of the Thompsons to be the second best player in the class is a lot harder than a Scoot or even Ant Black with the Magic. I think he fits in pretty well there. I think fit-wise, Jarris Walker to the Pacers is amazing. They need a guy who can actually play defense on the wings. He can actually do it, and he can get play really well off of Tyrese Halliburton, and I think he fits well in Rick Carlisle's system. So I think Jarris Walker to the Pacers is a good fit. And I think because of that, he'll probably be, one of the better values of this class, even though he got drafted 7 or 8. I liked Taylor Hendricks on the Jazz until they made the John Collins trade. Now I don't know if they want to keep John Collins. I think that kind of fucks over Taylor's fit because I think he fit in well between Walker Kessler and Laurie. But I think overall biggest bust probably to get to my answer for that. I don't want to say Brandon Miller, but based on where he was picked,
It's Brandon
I don't think he comes away with second best player in the draft return.
His ceiling is 3-and-D.
Yeah, I mean, even that. I don't know how you have multiple 40-point games. I watch both 40-point games, and I come away from each one thinking less of you than I did going in.
He can't shoot. He don't play defense, and his ceiling's 3-and-D.
I mean, he can kind of. He shot like 41, 42% from 3. But I've also I've seen guys who shot 45% from 3 in college. Watch them in workouts, and they don't scream elite shooter. So
he shot a ton of threes from right by the line.
Yeah,
those aren't NBA threes.
Before we move on to the trade talk, I got one question for Neema in particular, and then one question for everybody. Neema, you a draft nerd.
sure. Yeah, I'll take that.
You also have a penchant for ranking guys very highly or in the second round, and then they turn out to not even get drafted. So this question is specially made just for you. Who's your favorite undrafted player? Nobody.
I want to say first of all, the only player you're referring to there is Vrenz, and I had him 28, so it wasn't even very high.
He's not even in the NBA. It's been 3 years.
That was my point.
But he won Belgian League MVP, and he just got married. So give him some credit.
It's Belgium. The only thing they're good for is waffles.
So
and I didn't get a soccer.
My favorite undrafted player this year, part of it was because I got to watch him work out a lot throughout the year. One of them was Justin Mutz from Virginia Tech. Really good connector, can kind of do it all. Also a pretty good shooter. Moves really well, works out really hard, and he just plays really smart. He's one of those guys who really understands how to play, how to get guys open, how to utilize his advantages. I think he's a guy who's going to stick around in the league somehow, some way. He's on the Kings Summer League team. I think he's going to show to be one of the better players on that team, especially playing next to Colby Jones. I think that's two really
white
players.
Huh? Is he white?
No, he's black.
Oh.
Based on description, did you?
Where were you going with that?
It sounds like he's white based off the description.
No, it sounded like he was just describing TJ McConnell. You know what I'm saying?
He's a 6 foot. He's like a 6'7" wing. He's a 6'7" wing.
My apologies. Continue.
So I think Justin sticks around in the league. I mentioned Nadir Heafy, who's now playing in with Paris. I think he's gonna have a good year there. I think he eventually makes it over to the league somehow, whether even if it's like on a summer league team next year or something. I think he'll get his chance. And then I like Mike Miles. I think the pickup with Dallas was good. Keep him close to home. They know how he plays. And that's a good shot for Dallas. He's a smart point guard. They could use some backup point guard play. And keeping a guy around like that who plays really well. I think he's a guy who will probably stick in the Mavs system for a little bit at least. Those are probably my three favorite. I'm one of them just because he got picked up by the Hawks. Miles Norris. He's on a two-way. He works out at Impact. I've been working him out the last few mornings now and throughout summer league as well. Stretch big. Basketball is going to be super simple for him at the next level. So as long as he's hitting his shots, he'll stick around.
All right, and then my question for everybody is, who's the first player in this draft to win a ring?
Trace Jackson Davis.
So Podzimski, actually.
I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Nah, who did the Nuggets take?
Julian Strother, Jalen Pickett.
Never mind. Who did the Bucks take?
Like nobody.
Whoever the Bucks.
Chris Livingston at 58.
Yeah, give me him.
Yeah,
Chris
yeah,
Livingston,
X
hands
on
in the dirt,
TV.
rushing the quarterback.
Yeah, I saw X on TV with Stephen A. Smith talking about he liked dick.
Yo, Lerk, my hands work, bro. Like,
Yeah, again.
Hey, yo.
Yeah,
Hey,
again,
yo.
there's nothing
Hey,
wrong
yo,
with that.
pause.
We are accepting of all. We're accepting of all people. Accepting of all people.
Yeah. You can't say that after you say you like dick. My hands work.
Accepting of all people.
Yo, so before the draft, your man KP got traded to the Celtics. Deion, me and you had spoke about how he would fit with the Warriors. Surprise move, he ends up with Boston. X, you're a KP sympathizer and a Boston hater. What does this trade mean for the Celtics? How does this affect them?
I think it depends on his ability to protect the rim. If he can protect the rim at a decent level, they're gonna have to play drop because he's not able to switch on the perimeter. But then again, I mean, you can't really rely on Robert Williams to stay healthy. You can't really rely on Al Horford to keep giving you what he's giving you. So I think he's again a hedge against either one of those guys not being healthy. But if he can protect the rim, if he's getting those looks at all Al Horford was kind of being dared to take, it's going to open up a lot of space for Tatum and for Brown and for everybody else. So I like it. I think he should have been an all-star last year, low key, but I think who the fuck was watching the Wizards play other than us degenerates, right? So like most casual NBA fans didn't watch any minutes of Washington, and I don't blame them. I'm not here to shit on them because why would you want to watch them? But low key, he was good last year. You know what I'm saying? Like really fucking good. And so if they're getting that KP, and people point to how many games he played, they shut him down towards the end of the year. He probably could have played 70 games last year, which is unheard of. So if he stays healthy, I really like it for Boston, honestly. I'm not a big Marcus Smart guy, so I think he raises the ceiling of that team as long as defensively they don't fall too far back.
How about you, Deion?
I think he definitely makes them more talented. My issue with the Celtics has never been talent. I think they've been the most talented team in the league the last 2 years. They will continue to be the most talented team in the league next year. In terms of what their issue is, to me, I think nothing changes, man. So, congrats to them.
Neema.
I think trading Marcus Smart was probably the smart idea. It sucks you couldn't get rid of Brogdon because of his elbow. But I do think Marcus Smart was probably the crux of most of the issues in the locker room last year. Just kind of being the old head. who was kind of pushing around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, not really letting them be the leaders they should be on that team. I think Malcolm Brogdon is properly passive in that like scenario, allows them to kind of be leaders and chimes like works off that when he needs to. But that backcourt, Brogdon and Derek White, don't think it cuts it long term. Good defense overall if Brogdon can kind of get back to his Bucks form, but it's been about 4 years since that, so I don't think that's really the case. And then, yeah, I mean, I like KP. I think that, it's he adds another fold to your offense. You got a guy who can kind of knock down threes and be a good rim protector next to Rob Williams, but I'm kind of with Deion on that. Of cool, you're going to be a little bit more fun to watch. You're going to be a little bit better of a team. You're probably still not winning a ring with that roster. So, they'll sell more tickets, I guess. I think I'm pretty sure they sell out every game in Boston. So they can probably charge a little bit more now, but I don't think that's gonna. That money's gonna get kicked back to like Houston or some shit by the end of the day. So,
do you guys think no Smart? Because this is my honest opinion. I think they are better on the court. Obviously, much more talented. I think this is a detriment to Tatum because now Tatum, who is a known quitter, known I'm gonna gas out in the playoffs and give up. He now for 82 games has to guard the best player on the other team.
You think they make Tatum do that?
Yeah.
Not Jaylen Brown?
I think he's a much better defender than Brown. And even if they don't, he now has to guard the second best player on the other team. You know what I mean? There is no, for Tatum and Brown with Smart, the biggest addition Smart ever provided for the Celtics was these guys can take one half of the floor off at any given moment, right? Because you're guarding, I don't know, Andrew Wiggins, who just stands in the corner, or Harrison Barnes, who just stands in a guy. One of them's guarding someone who just stands in the corner. So now you can't do that. One of them's guarding the ball handler. The other guy's guarding the scorer. Either way, right? So that's what I'm a little bit, if I was a Celtics fan, I'd be concerned about. But ultimately, Kristaps Porzingis is much more talented than Marcus Smart, for sure.
He is, but I'd be concerned about which version of Kristaps you're gonna get. Because if you try to force him to just sit on the 3-point line all day, and you don't feed him, let him get in the post and play the game he wants to play, he turned into a hoe. And he becomes disengaged and he don't want to play basketball no more.
As the brothers of Latvia say, he just a hoe. There's no turning into it. That's just him.
he a hoe. But if he's not eating, if he's not getting fed, and if he don't get to play the way he want, like when he was in New York and when he was in Washington, you're gonna get the guy that was in Dallas. And that's not the KP you want. That's not the KP you want.
The problem with him in Dallas, I've said it before. You're gonna get that KP if you play a traditional big next to him. If he's out there a ton with Robert Williams, you're gonna get whole ass KP. If you're playing 5 out with KP, you're not gonna get whole KP because at that point
in the post,
he can be on the he can punish defenders in the post if they switch, and if they got him on a perimeter with a center out there, bro, he can pull up from anywhere. And if he's pulling the opposing centers to the fucking 3-point line, I mean, you know what I'm saying? And low key, he's not even that good of a shooter, but he still has to be defended like he is because he's gonna pull up from anywhere.
No, he's an average shooter. He's an average shooter, maybe slightly above.
What's his
percentage?
percentage?
Gotta respect his jump shot.
What's his percentage?
He might have shot like 34% last year off top.
That's not bad.
For the volume that he puts up.
Yeah.
Again, he's not Steph or anything like that, but I just think, man, like, could you imagine? How many times did we see Horford have a wide open shot at the top of the key, and sometimes he take it, and sometimes he wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? But Horford could have easily taken 7-8 threes a game just because that's what the defense was giving him. And some nights he would take it, some nights he wouldn't. If that's KP getting those looks, brother, you're not going to – I don't think opposing defenses are going to be too happy letting him live like that. Because if he gets hot, he'll drop 40 on him.
I do think – well, yeah, I mean, that's like once a month. I do think there's something to the reason Horford wasn't taking those shots was because he was giving it to Brown and Tatum, right? Like kind of like the Draymond situation where it's like, could Draymond shoot 34% on a million threes? Like probably, but like, why not pass it to two of the greatest shooters of all time?
But you can admit
KP shot
when
38
Draymond turned that corner, when Draymond turned that corner though, and he wasn't as willing to even take 2 or 3 a game, it did make your offense more cloggy.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm saying about the Celtics. If he's just a willing shooter, you know what I'm saying? That will open up a ton of space for the Celtics, who don't have a ton of creation, who rely on ISO. And really, when the Celtics last year, like, they had to work for every possession, right? But I think that, to your point, Tatum's going to have to work harder defensively. I don't think he's going to have to work as hard offensively because of the space that Porzingis will allow him. So he's not going to have to go 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 every possession. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get some easy looks. And so I think it'll balance out.
Yeah. So just real quick, just to clarify, KP shot 38.5% from 3 last year on 5.5 attempts a game.
Good.
Good.
Especially the quality of shots he's taking. He's not taking the easiest threes.
He's also doing that on a team where it doesn't matter. Assholes get tight. Shit ain't the same. I've been saying that for years.
Oh, I agree.
Pretty deep.
Speaking of somebody somebody who's never really shown up in those moments that you just spoke of, just got traded to your team.
OP3.
How'd you feel about that? Were you shocked?
I switched my insurance to State Farm the other day.
Yeah, I can't wait for the CP3 propaganda you about to hit us with all season.
So okay. This is my honest feeling.
Yeah, so you know, whenever he says so and takes a pause, he always about to hit you with some bullshit. This is gonna get some Shakespearean level bullshit right here. Go ahead, Deion.
My honest opinion, I obviously want CP3 nowhere near my team, bro. Fuck him. I spent the last decade dogging him. So post game 4, Draymond said the goal of a bench unit isn't to win those minutes, it's to prevent the other team from completely cutting into the deficit, right? You slow the tempo down. You just try to lose by 5 instead of 10, essentially. Post game 6 of the Lakers series, Steph said we lack a variety of ways to score. If you take those 2 quotes from our 2 leaders, I do believe, unfortunately, CP3 solves both those problems. So, unfortunately, I think we lost the trade talent-wise. I think we won the trade in terms of Jordan Poole's unwilling to play the role. He outgrew it, right? That's the reality of the situation. He bitched and moaned in the playoffs, dude. There was one time where he came off the court in game 5 of the Kings series, and he said, "What the fuck is this shit? You don't let me play." And I was like, "Bro, you're 0 for 7. the reason you don't get to play is your own doing. You got plenty of a leash." So I think when you factor everything in, it's kind of a no-brainer. We were historically bad without Steph. The unit with CP3 and no Steph could score 0 points and will be better than last year's team. So,
can we just be honest? Like, the more I get to know about Jordan Poole, the more I think Draymond was performing like a good deed when he snuffed him, yo. Like, yo, thank you, Draymond.
100%.
It was an act of God.
Listen,
like,
bro.
Bro, like, somebody had to, bro. And it wasn't going to be Steph, so I think Steph might have told Draymond, like, yo, son, if he gets out of line today, yo, we're going to back you. We'll help cover you fine. And don't worry, we're still going to push management to give you your deal. But, yo, just go take care of that, bro. Like, bro, he talking too crazy, bro. He was playing too crazy. He was talking too crazy. His body language, his facial expressions, bro. We saw Steph Curry literally take his mouthpiece out and throw it into the stands because he was so frustrated over Jordan Poole's shot selection. When have we ever seen that? I don't think his frustration with him was from that one game or that one shot. I think that was probably just a buildup of his feelings about Poole as a whole. And it came out when he took his mouthpiece out and chucked it. So I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, Draymond was doing a good deed, bro. You know what I'm saying? Jordan Poole's a dickhead. And y'all got out from under his deal. I think if CP3 doesn't
contract
make
wasn't
stuff and
bad,
sneakers once, that's still a win. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna look back on it in 7-8 months and be like, damn, JP's averaging 27. And it's like, you know what I
The
mean?
most empty 27.
Most empty
you
27
about
ever,
it.
right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But like
emptiest
to the
27
naked
points
eye,
ever.
it's gonna be like, damn, you traded CP3 for a 24-year-old averaging 27. And that's fine and dandy. Like that's all good, bro. Barbershop talk, it is what it is. But they're done with him. Unfortunately, they're done with Kuminga too, bro. You have to be mature to win a championship. I knew the CP3 trade was happening weeks ago. I don't know if y'all listened to Steve Kerr on Draymond's podcast. Kerr goes, the Heat don't have anybody that's complaining about minutes, complaining about the role not being big enough. They're just out there to win. And that was a direct shot at Poole. That was a direct shot. So you knew it was over the moment you hear stuff like that, specifically on one of your free agents podcast. He's not even on the damn roster. And you're saying that on his podcast. So it was probably fucking Draymond or Poole. And obviously you're going to choose Draymond, man. And yeah, it is what it is. It was a bad trade, though. Talent-wise, it's a bad trade.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it's not. But Poole was unplayable at times for a lot of last season. Like just flat out.
In the year before.
Right? You say talent, but it's like, bro, you didn't. Now, that 1 year when y'all had all the injuries, y'all needed Poole's irrational confidence because you just needed somebody to soak up shots. You no longer need that, right? So he just wasn't a good fit for you. So I don't think y'all lost that trade because like you didn't need his skill set, you didn't need what he's good at, and you didn't need that money on your books. Now you get Draymond his contract, and if CP3 doesn't work out, he's off the books. It lessens your tax burden and it gives you flexibility.
Even if it does work out, he's off the books.
Huh?
I said, even if it does work out, he's still off the books. He's gone.
Yeah, or you bring him back on like he just know what he's gonna expect to make fucking $40 million next season. Even if you bring him in on like a 2-year CP3. Even if you give him like a little golden parachute, 2 years, $30 million with an option to some shit, because it did work out. You'd much rather have that on your books than whatever the fuck Poole's making, which is what, 28, 30 million or some shit?
27. I think JP has a really good contract that we will feel like is a really good contract specifically in a year. He's a very talented dude. But I knew going into the offseason, we would lose the Jordan Poole trade. We are going to lose the Jonathan Kuminga eventual trade, right? Like, but when you're trying to win a title, it's not about having the best players on a roster. It's about having the guys willing to play that role. And as CP3 ages, he's willing. Like what the Warriors.
Let me ask you real quick. Who's better? Who would you rather have? Jordan Clarkson on his deal or Jordan Poole at his?
I'd rather have JP. I think Clarkson's a maniac.
I don't think the gap between those two is as big as you would make it seem.
It might not be. It might not.
I don't think it is, but he's younger.
I think all the Warriors want out of any of them is to be an extended version of Sean Livingston, right? And JP wasn't willing to do that. I think CP3 is. Play a little defense. You don't have to be the fucking world beater on defense. Hit mid-range jumpers. Walk the fucking ball up the court. Steph isn't on the floor. We don't need to shoot within 8 seconds every time. Use all 24 seconds. Minimize the amount of possessions the other team has. And just control the game. That's all they wanted JP to do. He wasn't willing to do that. Rightfully so. He's a 24-year-old kid that averaged 20 points a game last year. I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong for how he feels. I don't feel like Kuminga and Moody are wrong for how they feel. But the reality of the situation is that everybody's right. JP's right. The Warriors are also right. So it just is what it is. You have to take your losses.
Maybe in a contract year, but once you got your money, bro, buy into the fucking system. Right? I get it. If they're trying to get you to fucking play a role before
he got an ego.
Bag, he got his bag, bro.
He got an ego, and he got another contract he chasing after this one.
I think
that's Reggie Jackson all over again.
I think it's the fact that you gave him a fully guaranteed 4-year deal, 5-year deal last year.
It was 4 for 127.
Yeah, so you give him a big deal like that. with the way players have been able to get traded, he knows he can be a dickhead and eventually get what he wants, which is exactly what he did. I was a dickhead. I'm on a team that I'm producing enough that they will still play me. Then you stop producing to that point, continue to be a dickhead, and they end up trading you somewhere where you can go be a dickhead freely. And I mean, it works out for him. He's going to go put up 25 points per game on pretty bad efficiency on the Wizards, and nobody's going to say anything about it because nobody watches the Wizards.
He's a very good player.
I'm not saying he's not. I like Jordan Poole a lot. I just think he's got to get over himself at some point. I think him going to the Wizards, putting up big numbers, being like not efficient and not getting anywhere with it is going to humble him.
Here's my honest opinion. And people think I'm fucking nuts. Like, we're on all these fucking podcasts, all of us. And everyone's like, 90% of the league does not care about winning. Right? That's just the fucking reality. Yes. If you told Jordan Poole, another quote, and I keep referencing quotes from after the playoffs, I wanted Jordan Poole gone when I heard this. We lost in the second round, and he goes, it was a good season. We made the second round. I had a career high in points. Other people had career years. I can't, this isn't verbatim, but whatever. He doesn't care about winning. You cannot be on a team with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steve Kerr, and not care about winning. It is what it is.
I agree.
It is what it is. Like,
do you think he's coachable?
Yeah, very. Very.
So
I think he's
one of his bullshit in Washington.
So he needs to get over himself.
I think there's two types of people. You have Jonathan Kuminga, who I think is uncoachable. I think he doesn't work hard. I think he's extremely lazy, and he's one of the most talented players in the league. Then you have Jordan Poole, who I think isn't that talented, is one of the hardest working guys in the league, and is extremely coachable, but has a different mindset from everybody else because he's fucking 24 years old, man. He's a fucking kid. He's a fucking kid. He's going to look back 5 years from now and be like, damn, what did I do? Right? Like, I should have stayed. I should have figured it out.
Jordan Poole is you if you would have never stopped growing at 12.
He's Kevin Durant if KD didn't have Twitter. That's what he is. Like, KD probably regrets leaving the Warriors. I bet you Jordan Poole will down the line too. But in the moment, this is the right decision for JP. It's the right decision for the Warriors. It is what it is, man. Like I said, I switched my insurance to State Farm.
You do look a little like Cliff Paul.
I cannot wait. I can't wait to watch the grifting. I've been watching a decade of my team not getting calls for shit. Steph gets mugged in the paint. We don't get anything. I can't wait to watch a little flopping out there. Send me to the free throw line.
I don't think it's gonna be as good as you want it to be, but I do think it's gonna be good. Like, I think Chris Paul, like you said, like, yes, oh yeah, he adds defense. He's gonna add mid range jumpers. Yeah, sure, but
he's not adding defense.
He was like
he's adding. Here's the thing: he's adding defense in comparison to what we gave away. Is he a good defender? No. Is he better than Jordan Poole? Absolutely.
That's fine. He also was like unplayable for the Suns like a good amount of the season and like actively hurt them in the playoffs. Like, I think you'll have enough pieces to cover it up, but also like the Suns should have had enough pieces to cover it up.
Nah, the Suns ain't have enough pieces.
They didn't. But I think the Warriors actually do.
Well,
the only problem is like I don't think you're gonna get some kind of like rejuvenated version of Chris Paul that like wasn't there last year. You can scale him down. That's fine. I don't know if he's going to be that big of a difference maker in the long run. I think he helps if the idea of like, I agree with the idea of adding Chris Paul. I think on paper, all those things happen. I don't know if it ends up like unfolding that way throughout the season because it rarely does whenever a team adds Chris Paul.
I think it
works. I don't want to steal takes, but I agree with Simmons here. I think we're focusing too much on what the on-court fit is going to be and not enough on maybe they just view his expiring as a way to trade for this grunt or overpaid play that does fit what they do come the trade deadline. It's a lot easier to be like, yo, you can clear a ton of money off your long-term books with an expiring versus, yo, you got 3 years left to pool. You know what I'm saying? And especially with the way.
But who would that be? Like Cat? Like
Drew.
Drew
I think it's Drew. I think it would be Drew, but
Why would Drew want to leave the Milwaukee?
Respectfully to the Bucks, I think they turned down Drew. So I really do believe, and I could be fucking wrong, I really do believe they turned down. I think they turned down Drew and Porzingis. I think they turned down more talented players to get the guy who is just willing to play the fucking role. And I don't think CP3. I just want to preface. I don't think he's going to be rejuvenated, like Neema said. I don't think he's going to be a good defender. I don't think he's going to like lift our ceiling by any means. I think he's going to be willing to play the fucking backup point guard role and just walk the ball up the court. And that's all the Warriors wanted. And he's best friends with Draymond. He's best friends with LeBron. He's best friends with Steph.
LeBron.
Like it is what it is, bro. Like it is what it is. Sometimes you have to fucking play the fucking game, man. They're playing the clutch game.
I think he lifts the floor a lot. But like you said, I don't think he.
No, he doesn't raise the ceiling.
I don't think he raises the ceiling.
What that does?
The thing is the ceiling of this team. The good thing is the ceiling of this team is a finals team. So like
they won the title with JP. So if he doesn't make us worse, but he also makes us better on the front end, it's not the end of the world.
If once every 5 games they load manage Steph and be like, yo, CP3, go start tonight at point guard for us. I think with the brand of basketball that he plays, slowing everything down and playing the possession game, you know, they probably feel like he gives them a good shot of winning in games where Steph has to sit, especially against like the dregs of the league. Like if they're playing like the fucking Hornets, like, yo, we don't need Steph. Steph, you sit. CP3, go give us 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And he gives them a little bit of flexibility. And again, they're not asking them to play 30 minutes. They're like, yo, go give us 15, 18 solid minutes. Maybe he closes in the last 5 minutes. Probably not. But if he can come in the second quarter and give them 8 minutes, come in at the start of the fourth, give him 5 to 6, and maybe a couple minutes at the end of the third just to kind of extend Curry's rest period heading into the fourth, then he's done his job. You know what I'm saying?
So, here's my thing. Again, just to kind of change my insurance to State Farm, I just want to explain why. The whole point of Jordan Poole was to extend Steph, which means take the ball out of his hands. He cannot run a million pick and rolls a game. That's going to wear him down. Neema knows that from watching Harden. Like, that's how you wear down in the playoffs, right? CP3 takes the ball out of Steph's hands. He's going to play 14 minutes a game without Steph. He's probably going to play 14 with Steph. For the 14, he takes the ball out of Steph's hands. The worst team in league history with Steph Curry off the court. Like the worst plus like off on net rating in league history. He makes that better without scoring, just by walking the ball up the court. So I just think we lost in the Kings series and the Lakers series by double digits without Steph. If you can cut that to 5, man, we're still playing basketball. That's the way I view it. So it is what it is. He's also really good. With the second tax apron, only having the vet minimum. You have Steph, CP3, Draymond, and Clay talking to you if you're a veteran trying to ring chase. It's pretty good 4 people, man.
I do think the Warriors will pick up the right pieces to like kind of fill in the roster. I do think they're the second best team out west. I think Denver just showed that they're very fucking hard to beat.
Yeah.
But I don't think the West is that good. So like
I like Memphis. I
like Memphis, but missing Ja for 30 games. I mean, they still have they traded Tyus Jones.
They traded Tyus, yeah.
Yeah, so
Marcus?
Yeah, so they don't have a point guard for 30 games. So I mean, I don't know. I think if Ja was healthy, the Grizzlies might be the 2 seed, but he's not healthy. If he wasn't a gun freak, he would be playing and they'd be the 2nd seed. But I think the Warriors are pretty comfortably the 2nd best team in the West going into next year so far. I mean, this pre-free agency and all that, but like right now, the way they are built and the way they kind of projected to fill out, like you said, I don't think they're done making moves. I think Kuminga's gone at some point before the
pray to God he is.
I think
I could only be so lucky.
The season starts. I think they had a good draft with 2 guys that they can insert in the rotation if they need to, and then
Trace will play.
And then I think they fill in the rotation with good vets. I also don't think Draymond gets as much as he's necessarily asking for. I think he gets a good amount, but I think it's a team-friendly deal.
What do you think he gets?
I think it's going to be over 100, under 120.
Can I be honest? I think he gets 20 mil per.
I mean, that's fantastic if that's the case too. I thought he was really. I think he's going to get 25, but if he gets 20, that's even better. I think Draymond. I also think that a lot of these Warriors players, and with the rule that you can become like player owner or whatever, you tell Draymond sign here 4-year, 80 million, or even 3 years, 60 million or whatever. Play the rest of your career here. As soon as you're done, you're getting a share of the Warriors. Like him, Steph. I think that's gonna be the deal. Like I genuinely think that is the deal in place for those guys. Play your career out. Don't take in all the money that you need right off the back end. As soon as you retire, you are part owner of this team.
My question is, who offers him money? Memphis?
Nobody.
Memphis, maybe? Only Memphis.
Nobody has the money to offer him money and actually play him.
Well, even with the sign and trade, like Memphis is the only team. Dallas, I guess. Portland and Memphis. That's it. Because it's like, respectfully, what stops Draymond from knocking De'Aaron Fox the fuck out on the first day of Sacramento Kings training camp? What stops him from doing that to Jalen Green, right? Like, this guy has, as much as I love him, he has legitimate incidents. Like, what stops him from stomping on somebody's chest again, right? Like, the Warriors have been able to cover up so much for him and make life so easy on him. Like, who the fuck is offering him 30 mil per?
Nobody, I think.
That's why I feel like it comes back to like, yeah, we'll give you 20 to 25 because you made 25 last year. So like, we won't be assholes. You know what I mean? We won't make you sign for the MLE or anything. But I feel like the thing, like, could he get 30 mil? Sure. Could he get 35? Sure. Whatever someone else offers, the Warriors will match, like, up to any number probably. But who's coming through that door? I just don't see a team out there. Portland.
The Kings would offer him 35, like the entire cap space tomorrow.
You think the Kings would offer Draymond 35 before they go for Kuz?
Absolutely, yeah.
A team that built their whole roster around the idea of Sabonis playing the Draymond role.
First of all, you forget the decade plus of stupid moves that Vivek made just to chase the play-in. He feels like if he can bring a championship kind of caliber type of guy to Sacramento, A, that gives them credibility, and B, maybe he teaches the younger players what it takes to get to that next level. And yeah, who has more of a championship pedigree, him or Kuz? Of course, it's Draymond. I don't think they want to get fucking Kuz.
But you have a 32% three-point shooter in De'Aaron. You have a guy in Sabonis that teams dared to shoot threes, and you're going to bring in Draymond who can't shoot at all?
I think
bro, but it don't matter, bro. You're thinking logically. They're thinking they're chasing credibility, and Draymond gives them that. That's all, right? Because the worst thing that can happen for the Kings is if they take a step back without Barnes, and they don't find like somebody to fill that role, and they're like competing for the play-in. Oh, that 1 year was a fluke, blah 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 blah. Then it's all sad ass Kings all over again. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not saying that I agree the Kings are gonna do it, but another thing that would make sense for them to go after Draymond is you break up that Golden State core.
Yeah.
Deion, can I ask you a question? Bucks come calling, say Brook Lopez for Draymond in a sign and trade. Are you doing it?
Nah, I don't trade Dre.
Even if it's like in a sign and trade?
I'm old school, bro. You got to come to me with money that don't matter. Like, if the Kings come calling and say we got 35 mil for him, I'll match 35 mil. If Draymond comes talking about Memphis will give me 40 if you're willing to take on Steven Adams and somebody else, I'm like, well, tell Memphis to figure out a way to get 40 in their own way. You know what I mean? So I'm not helping anybody else get Draymond because, in my personal opinion, there has been 0 sign-in trades in NBA history that have helped the team that was giving up the player in the sign-in trade, right? It's more so like we would lose him for free, so we got something. But in the case of Draymond, we wouldn't lose him for free because literally the teams with cap space are not going to come calling anyway.
So you're saying like go clear that cap space elsewhere, sign him outright if that's the case. You don't need me.
If Draymond comes to me, if I'm Joe Lacob, Draymond comes to me and says, I have a $40 million offer on the table from Houston, I will match immediately. I'll give Draymond whatever he can get on the open market. But until you get it, it's like, but at the same time, it's like, prove to me you're worth this. Other teams want you. Because I feel like Draymond's value to the Warriors is much higher than it is to a Sacramento Kings or Houston Rockets or a San Antonio Spurs. The teams with cap space, because of how much we've covered up. In the fucking last 12 months, this guy knocked the dude out. He had nerve damage in his back, and then he stomped on Sabonis and missed a damn playoff game. How many teams are really going to pay for that?
Well, I know. On the flip side, he's the only motherfucker to get a stop in the playoffs. He was your best defender by a wide fucking margin because Wiggins wasn't there.
Well, that's because Wiggins was on PTO.
Tomorrow, listen, if you lose Draymond tomorrow, I don't think you motherfuckers play good enough defense to compete anything close to a fucking title.
Again, go ahead.
Y'all need each other. Y'all do need each other. But somebody like the Mavs, we're desperate. If you could tell us right now, right, like, yo, we'll do a sign and trade for Draymond. You name your price. We got matching salary and Tim Hardaway Jr., another contract, and we'll give you 2029 first-round pick. We would do it.
But why would I orchestrate?
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying the Mavs would do it.
Of course.
That's Deion's argument.
But if you're the Warriors and the only offers he can come with are teams that don't have the money, why orchestrate that? Why orchestrate?
A team that I think could very likely get Draymond or send a big bag his way, Charlotte.
What's their cap number?
I think they still have Gordon Hayward on the books, but I would not be surprised if they unload that.
Okay, unload Gordon Hayward before I'd bite then. That's my thing.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think they unload it elsewhere, and I think they try and sign Draymond outright. I think that
Draymond is going to give the Warriors the last chance. There's not a franchise in the world where Draymond doesn't give the Warriors like, yo, Charlotte offered me 40.
Right.
Match it, right? Like
I don't think that's not the case. But I'm saying what team is gonna try and throw Draymond the bag? I think it's Charlotte.
Yeah.
With all the bullshit going on in there and the fact that you kind of just need a forward who can kind of play smart with all the people they got there.
They have to re-sign Miles though, don't they?
How much is Miles Bridges going to be asking for after all the shit? He hasn't played in a year.
Bro, even if he gets 20, that takes away your money for Draymond.
He's not getting 20. I don't think
he could get 10.
I don't think he gets
to make things
max MLE. You can still give him the max MLE. The max MLE is like 10 million. You can still give him that and sign Draymond.
I think you're able to talk like that, Deion, because you got off Poole's money. Because it's not just about Draymond. It's the fact that Clay's going to need an extension next year too, right? You getting off of that Poole money, that's $27 million. Well, guess what that money's going to? The ability for you to match Draymond's contract this year and the ability for you to offer Clay something that he finds at least respectable to where he doesn't feel offended next offseason.
You bring back Clay next year?
Shit, not at no $40 million. I'm telling Clay and Draymond the same thing. Go get the money elsewhere. I will match. Period. We'll pretend this is restricted free agency, right? Because neither one wants to leave. So it's like, if you can get, same thing Phoenix told Aiden, you will get the max you want, sure. It's all you.
But Deion, don't be ignorant to the fact that we're talking about Draymond and we're talking about Clay, right? Like
Clay might leave. Draymond won't though. Because bro, for real, like because we haven't covered anything up for Clay. He hasn't been protected, right? Like Clay's just hooped. You know what you're getting from Clay no matter where you go, right? Draymond, who released the tape of him knocking out Jordan Poole? Do you know?
Jordan Poole's lackey.
Exactly. We don't fucking know. We have Jordan Poole's lackey, maybe, right? That is why. That is why I'm not worried about Draymond leaving.
But the team could have easily made sure that video doesn't get out. And the fact that
how many franchises are able to do that?
I'm sure there's other franchises that are having like vets punch the shit out of little kids.
How many
You think that's the
franchises
first team
have
that gets
how
stuck
many
in
franchises
practice?
have one of their best players leave for 3 months and you don't know why?
The Clippers.
The
Maybe,
Heat,
Kawhi did
maybe
that.
the Heat. Yeah, the
The
Heat for
Brooklyn
sure.
the
Nets.
Cavs. The
Nah,
Cavs when Braun just took a random hiatus to go train with
Kawhi,
Miami.
Kawhi
bro.
literally has done that the last 2 years.
Braun left for 2 weeks. Braun left for 2 weeks, and immediately we knew where he was. We didn't even know where Wiggins was. You could have said
But
Wiggins
that
was
was
in
out
the
of
bag.
respect. That was out of respect for him.
But that's what the Warriors did, though. I'm saying like the organization itself has protected Draymond in ways like we don't know.
Wait, was
Right?
that really because his baby mama was fucking his friend?
Now his dad had cancer.
Oh, okay. That's a way different thing than what people were saying it is. Like,
Yeah, no, his dad was dying. I think he's okay now, though. I believe.
was his
But
baby mama actually fucking his friend?
no, his baby mama was with him in the hospital while his dad spent January to March in the hospital.
Fuck, that sucks.
Yeah. But like that's what I'm saying. Like we don't know stuff that goes on. Like the Warriors are a very good it's a new front office, new regime, so like maybe it's not true. But like I think Draymond gets away with murder. He's not getting away with murder in Sacramento. He's not getting away with murder in Charlotte. He's not getting away with murder in these other places. So he's gonna give the Warriors the last chance to match because he's not fucking stupid. He's a media guy now, right? Like you can't be a media guy after knocking your teammate the fuck out. But you can be if the Warriors protect you by not suspending you for a single game. Bro he got a 3-day weekend. That was his punishment. He got to go home Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
like
that shit was wild. They did nothing about that.
that's the Warriors though. Like it's different. I'm not saying he
But you
can't get
know
the
he'll
money
be back.
elsewhere. I do think he can, but go show me. Just
It's
go
like
show me.
it's like
So
with the
it's-
Bulls whenever Dennis Rodman would just go to fucking like Vegas every once in a while, and then Phil Jackson was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, exactly. And it's like if Dennis Rodman hit free agency, the Bulls will be like, yeah, you want 40 mil? Go show me you can get 40, we'll give you 40. If
And
you come back with my best offer is 15, we'll give you 20 to be nice.
I think that's kind of like Steve Kerr picking up like Phil Jackson philosophy of like you're gonna have dudes who are like just straight up idiots sometimes, and like you just gotta let them be idiots so they can get it out of their system. So when it comes time that you need them to not be an idiot, they cannot be an idiot. Like
Yeah.
Draymond's
You know
gonna
Draymond's
Yeah,
gonna
but
show
that's
up in a
no
match.
one of the players. You're gonna send him home for 3-4 days, let him go and make a couple podcasts and hang out with his girlfriend, and then come back and actually play.
The
But
motherfucker
that shit
turned it
don't
into a
work,
documentary.
Deion.
They ran
That
a
shit,
documentary on the punch before he got his damn ring.
bro. But sometimes that backfires. Look at the Jazz and Gordon Hayward. They said, "All right, go fetch a max," and he's like, "Oh, word? You gonna make me go fetch for my money? Fuck you, I'm out of here." You know what I'm saying? Look at what happened with fucking Ayton. Why do you think Ayton refused to buy into a role last year? Right? Because they're like, "Oh, you think you deserve a max? Go show us." And from then on, it was like, "Yo, fuck money, fuck how y'all didn't back me up in the playoffs. Y'all let me take the heat for it. Then y'all made me fucking come begging y'all for money when I view myself as this type of player." And it's like, and then y'all match, bro. He was like, "Yo, I'm not buying into the role and doing nobody's
Yeah, but
dirty work." So
situation
that
there-
doesn't always work.
Situation there is different. Draymond is like part of the front office in Golden State at this point. Like he understands why they're telling him go find the money elsewhere. Like Aiden was trying to get his first big contract.
But also, well, that and the Warriors have done this with Draymond before. His original contract, right? His original max was, we're not going to give you a max. Go get it on the open market. Detroit gives it to him. The Warriors matched within seconds, right? Like this is what the Warriors do with Draymond. Like if you believe you can get it, go get it. If you can't, here's our offer, right? So like we've been through this story. He has 4 championships. He's 34 years old. It's a little different than a DeAndre Ayton scenario, but I do agree it could backfire. I'd be okay letting it backfire because I don't believe he has a suitor. I think his only suitor, my honest opinion, his only suitor is the Memphis Grizzlies.
And I also think it's easier to trade Draymond on a 20-year or $20 million contract than it is a $30 million contract. So if he comes in, gets pissed off because he had to sign a $20 million contract, all right, 1 year's done. you trade him next offseason. Like Clay, you have to re-sign Clay. Didn't work out. Draymond's pissed off. He took less money. You get rid of him. You don't re-sign Clay. You rebuild or you do something else around Steph, whatever it may be. Like you move on. And I think this is a good way to just kind of like that. Basically, like Deion said, like tell him figure it out. If you can't figure it out, come back and we'll see if we're in the same position next year. If we're not, you have a multi-year deal that you potentially wouldn't have gotten if you just signed a 1-year deal to stay with us. So we'll find you a good home. Clay can leave, and we'll figure something out.
Well, I want to say I don't think he gets traded. I think he signs like 3 for 75, 3 for, if he finds the offer, 3 for 90, like nothing crazy. With all due respect to him, X, like I think your opinion like is actually really good on this situation. I don't think it's incorrect. With all due respect to Draymond and that, if Draymond had a suitor, Jordan Poole's on this roster. That's my opinion of it. Like, if I truly believe Draymond had a suitor, I don't think Chris Paul's on this team right now. That trade was like, we know Draymond will be back.
A lot of this feels like posturing to keep him around.
I think it's already done. I really think the only thing Draymond could do is come back and say, hey, I got a 4th year instead of a 3rd. And all due respect to him, but he also has till Thursday to opt out. If you told me he winds up opting in and then re-upping for 2 for 60, I'd believe that too. But if he had a suitor, I think Jordan Poole's still on this team, because why get rid of JP if you're going to lose Draymond anyway?
Or he communicated to them, this motherfucker's still on the team and I find a suitor, I'm out.
Yeah.
And maybe they got rid of Poole to be like, all right, look, the dickhead's out of here. We don't have to have that awkward tension anymore. But now, play ball, come back home.
Maybe. I could be wrong. I really do believe, though, like, Draymond could get offered 4 for 150, right? Who the fuck? I don't know if anyone has that cap. But like
Rockets.
Let's say the Rockets
can start him at the Kings can start him at 35 mil.
Right. Rockets have 48 million in cap space. Just give him the fucking super max.
Let's say the Rockets gave him all 48 M's. I think Draymond would come back and be like, hey, the Rockets offered me 48. Will you give me 48? And if you're the Warriors, you're gonna say yes, because why would you lose the salary slot? So it's like, if you have nothing to lose, go get it. Go show me. Just go show me. And if you show me, you'll get
Rockets
it.
Offer 4 years, 192 million.
Lakewood matches. Because why not? Why not?
I would just try and be like, okay, I'll give you the same rate, but like 2 years. Like I don't.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a negotiation process, but ultimately, like, why would Lakewood not match that? He has nothing going for him if he loses Draymond, right? Because it's not like you get to. It's not the NFL where it's like, damn, that $30 million salary is off the books. I can go give someone else 30. They lose Draymond, they replace him with the damn minimum. So my honest opinion of it is like, whatever he could get 50 M's. They will match. But go show me you can get it. I'm not just gonna offer you 40 million because you're fucking Draymond Green and you say you want $100 million.
Yeah. Well, we could just end it right there. Neema, before we wrap things up, you want to tell the viewers where they could find you?
Impact Basketball Academy.
You can find me mopping the floors at 4 a.m.
He's the one whose MacBook will be in the hot tub outside the apartment complex.
It'll be in the bathtub in the apartment complex.
4 19-year-old Turkish males will be hanging him over a balcony by his ankles, shaking the change out his pockets.
They're actually 16, and instead they broke my AC. But y'all can find me on Twitter at FindingNeema23. I appreciate coming on here. I love talking to y'all. Been a while, so it's been fun. Yeah. Hopefully next time I'm on this, I'm not in an 80-degree apartment, listening to Turkish kids scream in the other room.
Hopefully next time we have you on this show, you have a hat on.
Yeah,
it'll be in the winter, and I'll be wearing a hoodie.
I'm sweating my ass off, so I'm signing off because
Yeah.
my AC is getting
Yeah,
overpowered right
that's
now.
it for this week's episode of Break the Bank Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.